In this series, Bible Mysteries, we're uncovering the truth behind some of the Bible's biggest secrets. For instance, did you know that many of the names mentioned in the Bible, including Jesus's, have been changed when moving from the Greek New Testament to the English Bible? We previously discussed that the British and Christian name James was incorrectly used to refer to Jesus' Jewish brother Jacob, despite the fact that all English Bible translations know that James is wrong. In this episode, we'll uncover why Bibles persist on incorrectly calling one of Jesus' other brothers by a wrong name. In the Gospels, we're told that Jesus has 4 brothers. And in this episode, we're going to focus on Jude. Or is it Judah? Or is it Judas? Jude is listed as the 3rd brother of Jesus, but he doesn't really make any special guest appearances in the Gospels, probably because he was initially skeptical of his brother's claims. However, tradition has it that he eventually came to accept his brother as Lord and Messiah, and one of the shortest and certainly most interesting letters in the New Testament is attributed to him. But there's only one problem with all of this. His name wasn't Jude, it was Judas, or perhaps Judah. As sometimes happens in the Bible, names undergo change as they move from one language to another. For instance, from Hebrew to Greek or from Greek to English. But there's no doubt that the person that we're referring to was named after the patriarch Judah. As you'll remember from the Hebrew Bible, Judah was the 4th son of the patriarch Jacob, and Judah's story is told in the latter part of Genesis. When the Hebrew Bible was translated into Greek, a translation that is called the Septuagint, the Hebrew name Judah, which means something like praised, was turned into Judas. This is how he's always referred to in the Greek Old Testament, as we see, for instance, in Genesis chapter 38, verse 1. Now, all English Bibles correctly translate this name as Judah, even though you can see pretty clearly that it is transliterated as Judas. However, English translations in the New Testament do something really stupid and really confusing when it comes to translating this name into English. Depending on who they are referring to, they have rather arbitrarily decided that they would translate the same exact name into one of 3 ways: Judah, Judas, Jude. Let's start with the first name, Judah. Now, when clearly referring to the patriarch Judah from the Hebrew Bible, translators of the English New Testament rightly translate the man's name as Judah. For example, in the Greek version of Matthew chapter 1. The New International Version, or NIV, translates this passage as follows: Judah, the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Fair enough. However, when this exact same name with the exact same spelling is used to refer to Jesus' brother, English Bibles all of a sudden change his name to Jude. For example, the NIV translates Jude chapter 1 verse 1 as follows: Jude, a servant of Jesus Christ and a brother of James. And this is where I sort of lose it. NIV, newsflash, the New Testament took place in Israel in the 1st century, among Jewish people before England ever existed. Back then and there were no Jameses and there were no Judes, only Jacobs and Judas. Alright, enough complaining. Let's get to the 3rd way English Bibles translate Judah's name into English, and that is as Judas. But this is, of course, despite the fact that the name in Greek is exactly the same as the other 2 names. Now, Matthew chapter 27 has the following in Greek. And the NIV translates this passage as, when Judas, who had betrayed him. Actually, Jesus had 2 disciples whose names are translated as Judas. We refer to this one, the one who betrayed Jesus, as Judas Iscariot, while Matthew and Mark are going to diverge from Luke by calling the same guy Thaddeus. In Greek, of course, their names are the same. So, altogether, we have the following. The same name in Greek is going to be translated in 3 different ways. Judas is translated as Judah in Matthew chapter 1. Judas is translated as Jude in Jude chapter 1. And Judas is translated as Judas in Matthew chapter 27. And so the question remains, why? Well, the truth of the matter is, English Bibles don't think that we're smart enough to distinguish between all of these Judas in the New Testament.
Listen up, Translation Committee. I'm going to get right to the point. Most of our readers couldn't pick Jesus' disciples out of a lineup, let alone distinguish between two guys with the same name who lived, like 2,000 or 3,000 years apart from each other. So, you feeling me?
As a result, they simply change people's names out of thin air.
You're going to be called Judas. And you're going to be called Jude. And you can keep your regular name Judah, but don't go sharing with anybody. I don't have any more names to give out, all right?
In a word, English Bibles decided that they would refer to the apostle who betrayed Jesus as Judas, and the brother of Jesus would be called Jude. And meanwhile, the Old Testament patriarch could keep his original name, Judah. But what about the 5 other guys in the Greek New Testament who have the same exact name? Oh, well, English Bibles call one of those guys Judah and the other 3 Judas. Yeah, but how did they decide that? Oh, that was easy. Have you ever played heads or tails? So, next time you read the first verse of the letter written by Jude, which reads as follows in modern translations like the NIV, Jude, a servant of Jesus Christ and a brother of James, please know that it's kind of off base on at least 5 different points, and instead it should be translated as follows. Judah, the Messiah Joshua's slave and Jacob's brother. But that raises other mysteries of the Bible that we'll have to uncover in another video. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video on how Judas became Jude, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of our videos in this series. I'll see you next time.